Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another amazing edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. I'm just so grateful you guys show up. I love this job. I get a chance to learn from some of the best thinkers, teachers, dentists, anywhere in the industry. And what's cool is they share their stories on this podcast. And today is a special one. A good friend of ours, his name is Dr. Kevin Groth. He's been on many times before, and today he shares a very important journey of his. Have you ever felt like you can't find happiness and fulfillment in dentistry? Well, his story is this: how to find it when you can't. It's powerful. So please listen up. I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. You know the jam here. I get to talk to the coolest people in dentistry about the things that matter. And our goal always is to help you create a better practice and a better life. And have you ever felt like you can't find fulfillment and happiness? Well, I think all of us have been there. And today we're going to talk to an amazing member of our community, a good friend, dear friend of ours, Dr. Kevin Groth. And he was in a place a few years ago where he couldn't find it. And we're going to talk about the journey out of that towards finding fulfillment and happiness. Thanks for being back, brother. Really appreciate you.
Good to be here. I think it's just been one of my favorite things to hop on a podcast and just share my journey. And I'm glad it resonates with a lot of people because I think it's a very real topic in dentistry, and I'm just living and then sharing what I know. So it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. And if you haven't heard Kevin before, or maybe you have, you would know that he's a really good friend of ours, great member of the community, awesome dentist, great leader, great husband, great father, and he's extremely transparent about the journey, which is what I really appreciate about you, among many things. I mean, you're always teaching us things, but let's do this. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Okay, to the point, and because I think a lot of people listening this could resonate. About 3 years ago, give us kind of where you were at that point and describe that situation.
Yeah, I mean, about 3 years ago, almost to the date, October 2022, I came home from work sick with COVID in a brand new home that we just built, custom, and just sobbing in my loft upstairs. Hopeless, not knowing what to do, and quite frankly, considering quitting dentistry altogether. I mean, and that to me is probably my rock bottom moment. And in a short amount of time, 3 years is not that long. I can honestly say, and I just said this to my wife, that I've never felt more fulfilled and happy in my career.
Okay. So let's go back to 3 years ago, and what was causing that? Give us some perspective. Like what created that?
I took over a multi-doctor practice on my own, and to me, I had some associates purchase practice and things like that. So I try to do it all. And to me, it's one of those things you then encounter quite a bit of stress from seeing every single patient at the practice, 3 hygiene, and compounding that, we had a newborn son. So our second child came aboard, and it exhausted me. And it's dentistry's hard as it is. And when you are doing it all, be the only restorative dentist in the practice, you're the one that has to pay the bills. You're the one that has to do all the preps. You're the one that has to check everything. And I tried really hard. And over the course of 6 months or so, it just kind of led to just an exhaustion and a burnout and kind of a depressive nature. And to me, it left me with no immune system. And that's when the COVID came about. And it was honestly probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because it forced me to stop because something had to change. I can't continue to keep running this rat race. I can't continue to keep being on this hamster wheel. And I think it was a very cathartic and revolutionary sense of what I needed at the time when I didn't know I needed it the most.
Yeah. So I want people to know a little bit more about your story. You're how old today?
I'm
How old are you?
38.
Okay. And you have a wife and 2 children.
Yep.
How old are your children?
7 and 3.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your wife. She's super supportive.
Yeah, she's the best. I mean, she's my unspoken hero of my journey. And she's somebody that is just constantly the rock in my story, and something that there's no way I'm in this position without her. And even in that moment, so here I am just crying, just hopeless, not knowing what to do, but also knowing that something needs to change. She was the one that told me, one, we don't quit at rock bottom. You have to figure out a way to rebuild yourself, because there's nothing worse than stopping at your lowest point. And then two, if you are to change careers, you're going to run towards something that's profound and not running away from something. And those two, sat in me for a while there, because when you look at those 2 rules that Allie basically listed, I tried. I looked at all different options for careers. And the thing that I came to realize is that dentistry is the most amazing profession out there for me. It's not for some people, but for me, it gives me the freedom to choose my schedule. It gives me the time with my wife and kids. It gives me the opportunity to work with people. It gives me the opportunity to work with my hands and problem solve. And it gives me an income that supports a lifestyle that I would like to have. And while it may not be the most glamorous, or it may not be the most aligned with what I would truly find fulfilling necessarily, I have found fulfillment within the career and joy within the career now. And it started with that moment at rock bottom when I was crying in my new custom home and all the things that were collapsing on me at the time.
Yeah. And so talk about your practice style. You're in Michigan. What was your practice like before this moment, up to this moment, and maybe how is it different now?
Sure. So I have an uncle and a father who were dentists. And so I took over my dad's practice 10 years ago. And then my uncle came to me about 5 and said, I want to retire. So when he retired, I had an associate come in. She took over his patients, and then she purchased a practice. And I, in a sense, took over everything. So there was half the patient population. I had no idea who they were. So I'm meeting 1 to 2 new patients every single hour, on top of handling the daily grind of restorative demand with an overhead that was built off of a 2-doctor practice. And when you start feeling that financial pinch where you're the one that's a sole provider and you've overdone it, because we just kept building and building and building without really thinking things through. And when an overhead starts exploding in your practice, that's stressful, and that's a lot to take on. So starting in that moment of the crying, it became one of those things that I just started just brain dumping to my wife, and she was writing down every single thing that was in my mind. And it felt great to release it, because now it gave me this roadmap of issues and roadmap of things that are on the top of my mind that we need to resolve. And the thing that I would recommend to anybody is, when you're doing that, is you can't solve these problems by yourself. And I think dentists especially are very good at hiding their problems, very, very good at not acknowledging that something's not okay. It's not my problem. I'm very open about this, and the thing about me is I am surrounded by people like yourself, Kirk, who I consider a brother and a dear friend, amongst many other people. And the coolest part is when you ask or tell somebody, I need help, I'm not okay, people will be there in droves for you. And they're gonna be there to support and just acknowledge, I'm sorry you're struggling, or I know exactly what you've been through because it happened to me too. And those are words that you said specifically to me when I was in my troubled times about many of the issues. And when someone could be in that room with you and just sit with you in the suck, that presence alone is an army that gives you confidence that you can move forward. And there's a resiliency that comes about when you feel confident that I'll figure this out too, because they believe in me. And I don't want to let them down either, because I know that they see in me what I don't see in myself right now.
Yeah. So you're at that point, you and your wife start listing all of these things. And then you said you went through a reframing, like reframing your day, your career. So how do you take that adversity, that like unhappiness, and start reframing it into something that works?
Yeah. Well, one of my heroes once said, the happiest people I know are the ones that have the simplest lives. It was you in 2017. And that became my marching song, my theme for a lot of what I now carry forward for the 3 years later, is just the level of simplicity needs to be at the ultimate and forefront idea, because simplicity is everything. It's not laziness, it's clarity.
Right.
And ultimately, when you can identify the things that you can simplify in your life from that list of issues that I had and just check things off, this, life got a lot easier. Life got a lot lighter. And it was just becomes something working with you, working with Zach, working with my team, working with my wife. We started really listing all the issues, and it almost became a fun exercise. Some of the things that we had to make changes were hard. Some were very simple, but ultimately was leading towards a path of simplicity that truly changed everything for me.
Yeah. So, okay. I think you need to define simplicity because I have my own definition of that. And you're very kind to give me that quote, but I borrowed that from somebody else, and his name was Dan Sullivan. And I'll say this on my journey for simplicity. I wish I could make everything simple in my life, but I can't. Do you know what I mean? It's a constant battle. I want you to comment on that. I would also say simplicity is not easy. It's actually very hard. Do you know what I mean? And the last thing I would say is simplicity is not boring at all. It's actually quite enjoyable. And I'll explain a little bit more about that as we get going. But I think you're hitting an incredibly important point. Define simplicity for our listeners. What did it mean to you? And then I also want you to take apart one. You said you had some issues. I want you to apply your definition of that issue.
Yeah. So I think the definition of simplicity to me is doing and having the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
Okay.
And for me, my definition of that is just honestly having the time and the energy to devote to my family. That's my priority right now. That's the decision-making premise of how I go about my day. It's when I choose to take on obligations or not, is how is this going to affect that? And if it robs my time with them, it better be worth it. And so looking at that from a simplistic model, the things that we talked about, Kirk, right away, our office used to be Monday through Friday when I'm an associate. And I didn't want to cut the Fridays out because I knew that patients relied on those Fridays for care. So I was alternating Wednesday, Friday off, because I didn't want to work Fridays a week, as that will ruin any type of dentist, even more than what I was already ruined. So you just said, quit that nonsense. Like, just cut your Fridays and be done with it. And you know me, you know what to tell me. And sometimes that works for some dentists, sometimes it doesn't. But for me, it was perfect because it simplified my week to Monday through Thursday. And I work 174 days a year and cutting at less and less and less. Our hours had already been shortened, so for me, I get out at 2:00, 3:00 every day, and I go pick up my kids every single day of the week, and that's a great thing for me because it gets me out of the office and gets me home. So for me, it's just restructuring those times and making sure that I have a consistency and simplicity to my day that allows for fulfillment within my dream, which is time with my wife and kids.
Yeah. Now, this isn't for everybody, but you also were straddling the fence a little bit on your participation with insurance and the overall profitability. So I think when you pick a direction, there's no bad direction. You just got to make sure all of the things work for you in dentistry and it fits your value system. But you were kind of straddling the fence. You'd built a 2-doctor practice. You had a little bit or a lot of insurance participation. And then, as you can imagine, it puts a crunch on profitability. And so you took the journey the rest of the way. Now, I want to make this clear. We're not telling all our listeners, you got to drop insurance to do all of this. But talk about that decision and simplicity and how it impacted your overall, practice and schedule.
Yeah. So I had an abundance of patients now. I had 2,300, 2,400 patients. So when you have that many, I can't see them all, but I want to see the people that I can see that I enjoy, and I want to see the people that actually pay, and so if insurance is dictating a lot of this, I think that was the right move when I had that transition saying, okay, I think it's best just to drop insurance and allow for the people that want to come see me to pay for it and get reimbursed appropriately. So to me, it was a perfect time in the transition to do so. And now I have a list of patients that we are fee for service, and they enjoy coming to our practice because they value who we are, not because we're on some type of in-network list.
Yeah. How many active patients do you have like today? Just curious.
1,900.
1,900.
So,
and talk about the journey, because it's counterintuitive. You think by making this decision, everything's going to dry up. People are going to leave. But what happened for you?
I started really committing my energy to the people. So I've been very open that I don't wake up in the morning and I'm excited to prep number 19. Like, that doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. And so I think that was where I started really questioning my role in dentistry in general, because I'm not the technical type of obsessive guy. That's not my nature. There's a lot of people out there that are. I love that. And I think that's a cool way of finding joy and fulfillment in your career. But for me, I had to almost reinvent my idea of how I do dentistry to reinvest in the relationship side of patient care. And that's my jam. I love people. I love connecting with people, and it's deeply connected in my interest in other people's interest. So the more I've doubled down and tripled down on the people and what they're about, the day became lighter, more fun. And I'm having these amazing dialogues with people and talking about, someone's garden. I don't know a thing about flowers. Like, I don't, but she loves it. So all of a sudden she's like, well, I really love you to come see my garden. I'm like, sure, let's schedule it and let's make it happen. And I ended up going to see her garden a month ago. It was beautiful.
And that's
a great moment. That's a patient of ours. And so she's interested in it, and she saw the genuine interest I had in her interests. And I learned a lot about it. But I talked yesterday about a guy and his airbags in a car as he designs those, because that's his passion. So there's always something. The more you lean into people's interest, the more fulfillment you can get out of the career. And people are not going to remember that you did a great job on that crown. Like, they don't care about the margins, but they care about how you made them feel in that appointment. And they care about the person you are. And one really cool thing that I've noticed is, as I've grown in that relational side of dentistry, people call me Kevin. People want to chat more about their certain interests, and people walk out happier and more fulfilled because they experience something beyond your typical dental office of just fixing teeth, because that's what the general population sees us do.
And that gives you a lot of personal fulfillment in that whole process.
Yeah.
Take us on your team's journey. So prior to 3 years ago, if I was a fly on the wall or a team member, like, what was it like working with you before this and now after?
Yeah, I think there was a huge change in me. So I had this lightness and this joy and this vibrant energy of growth, and it was infectious. And then when this burnout time happened, it turned to more of a zombie, and these people love me and they respect me and they want to be here to support me. And they did anything they could to pick me up, and they knew that I was in a rough place, and they just tried so hard over and over and over again to pick me up. But I kind of had to pick myself up first in order to really get there. But I will never forget the time when they said, hey, we canceled your afternoon. We're taking you out to lunch. You need a break. And we're here for you. Yeah, it was awesome. It was the best. And so for me, and that
it sounds like an intervention a little bit.
It kind of was. And it was almost like a wake up for me, being like, okay, my energy is not right, and they can see it. And they're here to protect me. And they're here to lend a hand in any capacity, because I believe in humans. Humans have the innate ability to want to help other people. And if you don't give someone the right or the opportunity to help them, you're robbing them of something that will bring purpose and joy. It's a great feeling for someone to come to you and say, I need your help. And I think the majority of people would openly volunteer. What can I do for you?
Right. Okay.
And that's what they're doing.
Go back to the lunch. What specifically did they say? How long was this lunch? And what was the outcome?
It was more a self-reflection than anything else for me, that something needs to change within me. Okay. And that my energy is something that I need to change, but I have the right people around me to bring me out of this too, because they're my army, they're my family, and I love every single one of them. And it's something that when you go through struggles, the coolest thing about struggling is that it actually builds a closeness within people. And we're tight. We're tighter than we've ever been before because we went through something together. Just as any type of marriage, you're going to go through crap. Right. And friendships, like family, whatever it is, when you go through circumstances that are troubling, it's either going to separate you or it's going to bring you closer. And that's exactly what that lunch did, is it just validated that I have the right people around me and we're going to be okay. I just need to be willing to make the change. And I did. I changed for myself.
And so coming out of that, you also made some personal changes. So can you talk about that?
So I think a big thing is you really, really, really need to take care of yourself. And I think one clear observation of that is that sometimes, let's say you have a week of patients and everything goes well. I mean, it's just like you can't go wrong. You're in this flow state and all the patients are awesome. You're vibing with them and the dentistry is great and their experience is really good. And then there's other weeks where you just seem like, my God, I feel like I got stacked on a schedule with terrible patient after terrible patient after terrible patient, and it's just a drag. That's not your front desk scheduling you. It's your energy that is. And your energy is what you bring to the week. So if you're not taking care of yourself with your health from like a sleep aspect, or how you eat, or how you physically move, or your stress levels are out of control, that's going to carry forward into your practice. I can promise you that. So I've really heavily invested in taking care of my energy so that I can bring my best self to my patients and my team, and vice versa to my home.
Yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, I remember raising kids, and I remember Sarah would read to one of them and I would read to the other, and we would both fall asleep in bed with both of them. And so in those moments, like, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not taking. So give us some specifics. Like, what were you sleeping before then? What'd you do differently? What are you sleeping now? What do you eat? And when do you exercise with a schedule like that? Yeah.
So I started working with a trainer a year ago, and so he's been great, and he's virtual with me, and I can recommend him to anyone because he's just an amazing person. But more than anything else, he's taught me how to find my habits and my cues to restructure how my day is. But to me, it's something I know with young kids, I can't work out in the afternoon. If I even try, it's not going to happen. So I have to work out in the morning or not at all. So, but he's simplified it. The theme of the day is simplify everything, because to me, I do 2-3 days of lifting heavy, and then I do 3 days of cardio. I make sure I get some steps in every single day. I eat 150 grams of protein every day. I track that with the app that he has. And I'm making sure I get at least 7.5, even 8 hours of sleep, of quality sleep. And if you just do those simple things, all of a sudden your energy is going to be greater. All of a sudden your perspective of positivity is going to be better. And he has me track my stress levels every week when I check in with him. My stress levels and how I report it are drastically different now than they were a year ago. And it's just because I keep checking these things off a list that are giving me problems and getting rid of them. And so we even talked a couple of weeks ago, as he's like, the man that you are today is a drastically different person you were a year ago. And I'm proud of the person from an emotional standpoint more than anything else. While I'm physically stronger, I'm better shape than I'm in, it's the emotional person that he's seen the greatest change.
Yeah, and I've seen that too. I'm so like, I want you to go into the details of this, because I want to know what time. Like, okay, backtrack. You just shared with us your schedule. So you said you work out in the morning. Like, what time are you getting up? What time are you going to the gym? And then what time are you going to bed?
I work out at home because with young kids, it's easier just to work out at home. So I wake up at 5:15, and I get into our garage now, and I basically just do the workouts that he prescribes for me to do. I work out. I lift Mondays and Fridays and sometimes Wednesdays. I'll do cardio on Wednesday, depending if I alternate that. Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. I take the Tuesday, Thursdays off because I start here at 7. And it works for me, but it's just customized to me and my schedule, what works. It's not something I need to prescribe or tell somebody to do the exact same thing. Yeah. It's just, this is how it works. And working with somebody is one of the best things you could do because he's coaching me along the way using his expertise, not just me just trying to wing it like I did before. So I'm proud of that. I think Sebastian's been a great resource for me, and I'm really lucky and fortunate the fact that he's been in my corner the whole time. Just as you have been, and a ton of other people, because again, you can't get by yourself. There's no way.
You can't. So, and you're going to be coaching me right now in this session. So like, I love this stuff, and I get up around the same time. So what time do you go to bed?
I try and get in bed around 9:30 and fall asleep by 10.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it works.
It works. And then you have a morning huddle, or so what time are you there?
Let's talk about that. So that was one of the things on my list, is that I used to basically not see my family every morning, when I would work. And it killed me because I hated the fact that I was just basically waking up, getting out of bed, getting to work before I could even see them. So I'll do morning huddles on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we start at 7, but I actually start later on Mondays and Wednesdays to give myself the opportunity to work out, have a breakfast, and say hello to my family before I go off to work. And I think that's been such a game changer for me. And that's the beauty of dentistry, is that I can choose that. It works for me in my practice. I know some offices need morning huddles. Some jobs don't allow you to have the flexibility, but we have that flexibility. And to me, it's essential. So that was one of the things for my energy that I felt very good about making those changes, because all of a sudden I can go to work happy, knowing that I saw and kissed my wife and kissed my kids goodbye Mondays and Wednesdays before I got off to work. And before, I really didn't feel that way, because it was almost like just Groundhog's Day. It just repeat over and over again. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think that's such a powerful message. Like, you can design this however you want. You're a dentist. It's the United States of America. There's no rules. You can do. That is awesome. Another thing.
Let me go off another thing though. Please. This has been probably one of the better changes that I've made, is the fact that I think in dentistry we try and do it all. So you're going to try and make the temporaries, write the notes, send the lab scripts, send the photos, take the photos. You're doing basically everything in your office. And what I've come to realize is the importance of delegating. And a lot of dentists don't want to take away that control. But when you take it on yourself, it doesn't get done. And it's just this constant to-do list that's either in your head or next to your office, that you need to get all this stuff done. And you're not leaving your office several hours after the office closes because you have so much work to do. Now, for me, I delegate everything I possibly can. And that's through someone that I've worked with in my clinical assistant, Morgan. She's my also executive assistant now. And with that, we talked about that probably a year ago as I read the book, Buy Back Your Time.
Yep.
And so Dan Martell talks about the importance of having somebody checking your emails, responding to emails, booking your schedule, and doing all the random things that tie you up. And so I was talking about this, and Morgan says, I want that job. I know you better than anybody. I know your people. I know all the things about your life already. So it's an easy thing for me to transition into. Give me the role. So I took her on as an extra day a week. And so she does everything for me. She returns my Amazon packages. She helped us move our house. She packed up our kitchen with my wife, and we unpacked our basement on a Friday morning one day. One thing I hate doing in the winter here at Michigan is getting snow tires put on and off. So she drives my car over to the car place, and they take my tires on and off, and then she brings it back home.
And she's happy to do it.
She loves it. It gives her purpose too. And for me, it's a fulfilling idea that I give someone a directive because she's really good at to-dos. And ultimately, it changes me. It made me a better dentist. It made me a better leader. It made me a better father. It made me a better husband. And ultimately, because it gave me my time back and my energy. And the things you don't delegate end up suffocating you.
Right. So go back to this, because I know a lot of people listening are like, Kevin, how in the world did you do that? Like, it takes probably a high level of trust. I'm going to have to let people know a lot about me. Now, I'll say the same thing. I have Laura here, and I would argue she knows more about my life than I do. She's like, okay, do you know that you have this? She'll make doctor's appointments. She'll do crazy stuff. Like, I'm just like, I don't even know where to start with this. And it starts with the expectations. Like, it's not about a role or a title. You know, I think I'm speaking for Laura, but like, she knows her number one job is to protect my time.
Mm-hmm.
And she also knows I'm not very smart on things, and I'm not good at details. So giving her my email, like, she'll do all of my email, and then she'll also remind me, like, you're going to want to get back to this person, and you haven't responded to this person. I'm like, oh, darn it. How did you do this? And how would you coach somebody else listening to create that?
I think it's important to create the job before you give it out. In any type of system, in any type of position, you almost need to like pretend like I'm her,
right?
And I'm going to perform that job as her. So I'm going to have like an inbox, and how I'm going to structure my inbox. And if I'm logging into my email, here's what she would see, and here's how she would do it. And once it becomes like a more fluid concept to you, then you teach it and share it. Just as you would of how to take photos at your office. Right. You know, like, this is how I do it. These are the expectations of what I expect photos to be. These are the files that you put them into, and this is how you upload them. You know, like, it's just coming up with a systemized approach to things that you ask people to do. Because people are very trainable. People are very helpful. And if you have the opportunity to share something that you can give them to do, it's one less thing off your plate. I mean, Kirk, have you ever had a moment where you just don't have anything to do? Because I have, and it's an amazing feeling. I open up my inbox and I'm like, I don't have any emails here. I didn't have to respond to anything. I don't have a to-do list to do. I don't have contact to people because she's already done it all. And that allows me to be the best version of myself, which is deeply fulfilling and an important component of the transition that I've evolved into as well.
Yeah. This is why I love doing this podcast, because my days do not look like that as much as probably yours do. I mean, I get moments where I'm like, wow, I'm caught up on email. Wow, I'm caught up on my to-do list. But no, it's not this degree of like harmony where it's always like that. You go through these ebbs and flows. And I want you to speak to that. Like, you're very happy right now, but this is not a set it and forget it thing. And it's just a piece of cake. Like, I personally believe that you got to work hard at making conditions to be happy. You've got to keep investing. So how does that work for you today?
Yeah, I think when you go through hardship, it gives you a really clear sense of appreciation when the good is good. And that's the position I'm in right now. Is, like you said a long time ago to me, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when we have a hard time. Mm-hmm. And what that's going to be and how it's going to be is going to unfold as it needs to, but you can really value and appreciate times for what they are. For when they're good, I'm in a good place. You know, but when you're in a bad place, understand that's also part of life too. Because you can't get better without the bad. You need to be roughened up a little bit in order to be polished. And to me, it's something that I see the value in the bad and know, like, okay, I'm in a hard time. Okay, but that's going to pass. And you're going to learn something from that moment. And you're going to become a better version of yourself through that hardship. And to me, it's an important reflection of that, most important. And I find it to be something that it's, like I said, to answer your second part of your question, is it's an ever evolving process to constantly just keep moving forward with things. Yeah. So I guess to bring this into the next thing is that I had simplified my life in so many ways, and life was getting just really clearly that way. And the big elephant in the room is now I have this big, elaborate, expensive house that doesn't represent me anymore. And I'm living in this component that isn't me on all facets, you know. So we didn't even have guests over because we didn't want to just feel like we were beyond ourselves, and on top of it all is, when you start making money, and I think we could talk about money, this would be a good time to do it, is money's the value in which you provide for a service, right? So Die with Zero is a great book because it talks about that, is that you work for something and you get paid for something. And the greater you work or the harder you work or the better you work, you get paid more, right? And then as you get paid more, it's human nature to have a lifestyle inflation go up and up and up. And you deserve the right to have that. And all of a sudden, things are kind of out of control a little bit. It's not simple. And so for me, it became this identity for me that it's like, well, how the heck why do I want to work this hard to afford this lifestyle that I'm living? I can pay for it. It's not a problem, but it's also just my efforts have to be a little bit grander and a little bit more.
Right.
And that's not a simple lifestyle. That's not. So my wife and I talked about that. We said, what if we just put our house in the market? And just to see what happens, like put it out to fate or God and let the plans unfold the way they do. And we did.
What happened?
We got an offer in a day.
And what'd you do?
We called it our lottery ticket.
Okay.
And it was a position to reset our life fully because it was the last remaining piece for a simpler life. And we found a great home in a great area that's so much more suitable to our lifestyle. And we're within walking distance to this town that we love. We walk there all the time with our kids. The playground, the restaurants, the ice cream shop, the park, whatever it is, we're enjoying that. We have a pool in our backyard. We had s'mores last night out on the bonfire. I mean, there's just so many things that just resonate for who we are to our core. And there's an amazing difference between how that feels when you're in a simplistic model completely versus just this never-ending chaos and this feeling that you have to go and go and go to keep up with where you are.
Yeah. I think as you age too, tell me if you agree, like you're always battling some type of enemy, whether it be like, I just got to get my family going and I feel like I don't have enough time, financial, and what I've learned over and over, my number one enemy, I think will probably be forever, is complexity. Mm-hmm. And complexity is always waiting for me. Do you know what I mean? It's always waiting for me around the corner. It's waiting for me on this next decision. It's waiting for me with whatever my children are going to do next. It's like just waiting. And so, I think it's always going to be there. And I think if you can remember what makes you happy, it helps. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
Life is a constant battle of saying no to a lot of decisions. Because that's a big thing too, is the complexities add when you say yes to everything.
Yeah. And is it easy for you to say no?
It actually is.
Seriously?
Because I do know what my value is and my time. So I think when you see that, I mean, shoot, I had a guy ask me to play golf with him probably about a month ago. You want to play golf on Sunday? No. He's like, just no? I said, no, I don't. I don't want to
say I love to can't.
Yeah, I know. That's your thing. I know. I got that. And I just said no. I said I'm because I didn't need it.
Right.
To me, it's like it takes up so much of my time that morning, and I didn't want to. So to me, it's like I just want to just enjoy my Sunday, and I know what the value of my Sundays are, and it's a non-negotiable. Just as I know as a family rule is that you don't commit to anything on Sundays.
No.
And I think that was a big thing for me to learn through you, and I just said I don't want to give up that time. So thanks, but no thanks. I appreciate the effort, but, and when you say no to some of those people, they stop asking you. And that's okay too, because they understand where you're committed. And that's exactly what I am.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of the journey that you've, been on, some of the decisions you've made over all this time. And I'm really proud that you're so willing to share your story. And so, I want you to give our listeners, give us some final thoughts. If somebody's listening to this and like, Kevin, easy for you to say, you don't understand my situation, give us some words of wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing about myself 3 years ago. And only 3 years ago later, I'm on a podcast talking about how much better life can be. So I think in the thick of it, you always feel like your problems are deeper than what they actually are. And so having people to go to, having people to reflect and understand you for who you are and what you're going through is an important component, because you're not alone. And the struggles are real, and the depth in which you're in will always be something you can climb out of. It's just a matter of how and who's going to help support you on the way up. Yeah. And what a cool story. Everyone loves a success story, and also we should celebrate when people are on their low points, because that I know something great's going to come out of this. You don't see it at the time because you're in the thick of it, but I know that the person's going to come from this is going to be an amazing evolution. And I can't wait to meet that man or woman in the lessons that you can share from your struggles and the perspective that comes from it.
Yeah. One of my heroes said a long time ago, when I was having a few panic attacks during COVID, said, out of every adversity comes an opportunity. And I was like, thank you. I needed to hear that. I don't know where it's going to come from, but Kevin, this is awesome, buddy. I know you're also a very giving human being, and you've been an advocate for mental health and people struggling in our community. If somebody's listening to this, they want to reach out to you. Are you open to that? Like
always,
type of thing? Yeah.
Always. If you don't have somebody in your corner, I will be there.
Yeah.
To me, I'll listen, because that's all it is. I don't have the answers for you,
right?
But to me, I can listen and I can hear what you have to say, and we just get through together. And it's one of my core values is I grow to give. And so for me, I'm learning all this stuff and I'm sharing it. But that's my purpose, is to give to other people. And so if someone wants to reach out to me and they need some help, I'm always available. You can reach me on my Instagram, Dr. Kevin Groth. You can email me, kevingroth@gmail.com. I am happy to share. I'm happy to pick up a phone call. I mean, you can call me. I don't care. I'm available. And that's not anything that people have done it. And it's always so touching when people reach out and say, hey, that really helped. That really made a difference for me. And I'm here because of that. And, that's what life's about, is just helping people get forward through your own journey and normalizing all that. So please reach out.
Awesome, brother.
You'd probably get my assistant, but eventually you get to me.
Eventually you'll get to Kevin. So, well, brother, thank you for being on. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being so transparent.
Always. I love it. And thanks for the opportunity, man. And I'm really grateful for your support.
Hey, we're going to be back again and again and again, talking about many things. So
always
really appreciate you, brother. We'll stick around. We'll say goodbye to everybody else, but thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. It's a powerful story with Dr. Kevin Groth, and he truly is that kind of person that's willing to give and help you individually. We're going to leave his information in the show notes. So if you're not taking notes, don't worry. We're taking notes for you. You can flip to the show notes and you'll see all of those points of contact that he mentioned, and be sure to reach out. So until we see you guys next time, or you hear from us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show, and keep your head up, because fulfillment and happiness is ahead. You just got to take one step at a time. Hope you guys have a great day.